Hello, JCI USA. This is National Membership Development Director Emily Knock, and you are listening to Howl Time, the official podcast of the JCI USA Wolfpack. Now, being part of JCI is part of showing the world that even though society may consider us young, we can still make a difference in our community. We can still accomplish amazing things, and we can still emerge as leaders. This week on Howl Time, we sit down with JCI Santa Clarita and talk about a project that they do that highlights not only their local chapter, but other under 40-year-olds and the phenomenal things that they're doing in their local community. Hey, Cornyn, Chelsea, Daniela, thank you so much for joining us today.
Cool. Thanks for having us on the show.
Hi, Emily. Happy to be here.
So you are all members of the Santa Clarita Valley JCs, and you've got a very exciting project that's coming up soon that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But first, why don't we just introduce everybody? Chelsea, you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your position with the chapter here.
Yes. So my name's Chelsea Orzechowski. People call me Chelsea O. I have a really tough last name. I am a new member to Junior Chamber International of Santa Clarita, and I took on Vice President of Government and External Affairs this year, co-chairing with Cornyn Daniela 40 Under 40, as well as chairing Politics on Tap.
Okay, and Cornyn, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I joined the JCs about 2 years ago, and I am now the Director of Video Marketing. So my job is to help out Daniela in her role as our social media person by creating videos that help promote our upcoming events.
And Daniela?
And I'm Daniela Ches. I joined the JCs about a year and a half ago, and this year I've been tasked with being the Director of Social Media Marketing, just making sure that we get our footprint up on social media platforms, about our events, and different things that we're doing.
And of course, you're all serving as co-chairs for the upcoming 40 Under 40 event that your chapter hosts every year. Chelsea, what exactly is the 40 Under 40?
40 Under 40 takes a look at young professionals across several valleys out here in California, the Antelope Valley, San Fernando Valley, Simi Valley, and Santa Clarita Valley. We accept nominations across those valleys from people that see these young professionals excelling in their career, as well as giving back to the community that we all live in. And then we narrow it down to 40 using an elite community leaders, mature community leaders outside of our chapter, to select the top 40 under 40 professionals, and then we honor them at an award ceremony.
Cornyn, how do you find these nominations?
So the nominees come to us after we put out a kind of a call in the Santa Clarita magazine and on our social media, and we ask people to nominate somebody who they know that they think has been exemplary, either in their job or in their own business or for the work that they do in the community. And then, as Chelsea mentioned, we have a committee that selects, and this committee is not made up of JCs. It's all people that are over 40 years old, so there's no, it's not a popularity contest amongst the JCs, but we have them come in and take a look at all of the amazing resumes and cover letters and letters of recommendation and select the top 40.
And I like that you work with people that are outside of your organization to kind of narrow the list down, because I'm sure it's a massive undertaking. Daniela, what all is involved in the planning of this event?
Well, the planning of this event is actually comprised of 3 events. So we have the initial nominee mixer in the beginning. We also have an alumni mixer inviting those that get honored this year, as well as the alumni classes from previous years since 2009. And then the main award ceremony. So part of it is actually first focusing on how to get as many nominations as possible. Ideally, we always aim for at least 100 nominations to dwindle it down to 40. And then at that point, it's coordinating all the mixers to get the nominees to actually know each other, know us. And then once they've been selected and honored, we want to introduce them to other alumni so they form a stronger business networking relationship. And then, of course, putting in all the coordinations for the award ceremony, which this year we've actually changed the format and made it more of a traditional award ceremony.
So how is, you mentioned that you changed the format this year. So how is that different from other years?
So in the last 2 years, it has been more of a formal sit-down gala dinner, which does include an award ceremony portion to it. But we've normally had a partnership with the Hyatt, and that format has served us well, but the three of us decided to change it up this year, and we felt that considering the work that the community has done, and also locally, the city has been bringing back some more attention to Old Town New Hall. So we felt that it would be more appropriate to kind of bring the community back and focus on Old Town New Hall and actually make it an award ceremony at one of the theaters.
Great. And now, Jesse, how much time goes into planning this event? Does it require a lot of volunteers?
Lots and lots of time goes into planning, and we need as many volunteers as we can get. We started planning this event back in March, I would say. We had our first committee meeting. We tried to break up every component into basically captains and then committees underneath. We probably each put in anywhere from 2 to 8 hours a week, touching some portion of the event, because it's marketing to get nominations, opening up nominations, reminding people to nominate, closing nominations, alerting the nominees that they've gotten the award or the nomination, reminding them to submit their nominee packet, finding our selection panel, reminding the selection panel that they need to be somewhere at a certain time, reminding the selection panel they need to review their nominee packets, spending 3 hours with the selection panel to narrow it down to just 40, alerting the 40, and then on top of all of these like basic components, then also coordinating with vendors to make sure we have our nominee mixer ready to go, our alumni mixer ready to go, and then of course our grand event at the end of the whole process.
So it sounds like there's a lot undertaking this event. So is it just your chapter that does it, or do you form partnerships? I know you mentioned for the judging, you bring in other groups, but Daniela, are there other partnerships that you form to make this event happen?
We do have our partnership with the Santa Clarita magazine. They certainly help us with marketing the events and making sure that we have as wide of a reach as possible. And in our committee, different members take on different aspects. So they've reached out to local businesses to see how they can help us, whether it's actual paid sponsorships, in-kind donations, even just marketing the event itself for free.
So you mentioned sponsorships. So Chelsea, is that primarily how you fund this event, through sponsorships?
Yes, I would say 95% of our event is funded by sponsorship and in-kind donations, because we do ask for a sponsor for each of our mixers to cover venue costs and food costs. We also ask for sponsors for the program along the way to make sure that this event happens. We try to find a title sponsorship every year to get the most marketing in exchange for any financial contribution that they bring in to us. The other two ways that we do bring in funds to the chapter to fund this activity is the alumni mixer does have a ticket to attend, and that will be your entrance fee as well as a little bit to eat and a beverage. And then we have our tickets sales for the main event as well. Our first mixer that we do, which is the nominee mixer, there isn't a cash charge requested, but we do ask for a toy donation or a gift card donation, because that is also the kickoff for one of our other events, which is Santa's Helpers.
Oh, that's great. So you kind of incorporate one of your other events in with this one as well.
Yes, we really do try to overlap and cross-market all of our events. Like, I have an event coming up at the end of November called Politics on Tap, and at the awards ceremony for 40 Under 40, we're trying to have that speaker come in, speak to the audience of 300 attendees, and remind them what JCI really has to offer to the community.
Now, how do you get the word out about this event? I know you mentioned the partnership with the magazine that you do, but are there other traditional marketing ideas that you do, or social media? Daniela, can you speak a little bit to that?
Yes. So as far as traditional media, really we focused on press releases to all of the local newspapers, and as well as some of our neighboring communities in San Fernando, Palmdale, and Lancaster. But with these events, we've come to find that primarily putting it on social media has had the most success and reach. This year, though, we try to expand it to make sure that there was some coverage on LinkedIn, which turned out a good amount of businesses did see. And so they started nominating some of their employees that are under 40 and just kind of tailoring them back to our other social media pages on Facebook and Instagram.
And with such a large project, I'm sure it has a massive effect. Cornyn, can you tell us a little bit about what effect this event has on your community?
So thanks to our partnership with the Santa Clarita magazine, the list of nominees and then the names and the headshots of all the 40 selected honorees gets mailed out to over 80,000 homes and businesses in the community. So most of the people that live here in our area see what we're doing. I think a lot of them assume that the award is presented by the city council, but we're really making an effort this year to kind of brand the awards as our own. But it is cool that everyone in town sees that so many young people are out here and working to make a difference in the community. And it kind of shows, paints the millennials in a different light than what people are used to. I think a lot of people look at us like we're kind of lazy, do nothing, sit at home, play video games. And it kind of shows that we're out there and we're actually like doing stuff and working to make a difference.
Okay. And now, Chelsea, what impact do you see for your chapter based off this event?
Well, one thing I would say is our chapter needed to grow this year. I'm a new member, and Danielle and Cornyn are relatively new members. One thing that I think as new members we did or welcomed was non-JCI members to be a part of our committee for planning this event. And what has happened is they've gotten to build the community and sense of friendship, which has resulted in them becoming members, because now they want to take ownership of new projects on their own. And if you're not a member, you don't have that ability to be a chair, co-chair, or director for an event. So, I mean, the biggest impact for me personally is seeing the chapter grow through welcoming in committee level members or volunteer level support from non-members of our age group, which in turn created a community that translated into new members.
That's great. And one of the goals of JCI is to unite all sectors of society. So it's great that this project is an avenue for you to work with the other organizations outside of the JCI and also help to grow your organization as well. Now, with the 40 under 40 that you will name this year, will those 40 members or 40 honorees become members? Cornyn, how do you activate them?
Well, we do offer each of the honorees a free one-year membership, so that's worth $95. Most of them, I think, just say thanks for the award, and then we never hear from them again. But we are trying to have other events immediately after the 40 under 40 awards. So this year, we do have Politics on Tap coming just a couple weeks later, and then we've got a bunch of events: the gift sorting event, gift wrapping event, and the actual Santa's Helpers coming up in December. So we do have opportunities to get these honorees involved and see if we can activate them as members of our group.
Yeah, I think one challenge with recruiting the under 40 winners is that they're nominated to 40 under 40 because they are so active in the community. They're so already, piling on stuff to their schedule. So adding in JCI as a membership sometimes is a challenge. So what we really do look for, I think, is when we're out and about, finding people who don't already have like I said, sense of community, inviting them to participate with us, building up that friendship and that home, and then translating that into a new member.
But I think also that in the meantime, we've tried to get to know each of the nominees and some of the honorees more personally, and seeing what their day-to-day interests are. Some we've already started partnering them with some newer GCs. And so they've already naturally started talking about new projects for the coming year. So I think forming those bonds early and just getting them to talk to each other and get to know each other has really helped this year.
So it sounds like even if those honorees aren't becoming active members directly themselves, there's still lots of opportunities for your chapter to grow and for your individual members to grow as well.
Exactly.
Now, what advice would you give, Daniela, to another chapter who wants to do a similar project?
Definitely one of the things I would tell them is to plan early. As Chelsea mentioned, we started planning for this event early on in March. Definitely come up with as many backup plans along the way, and kind of take the approach of to learn to adapt to any of the challenges that come up and be open to improvise, even if it's something you're not sure that it's going to work. We've had some challenges along the way this year, and thankfully, Cornyn, Chelsea, and I, we communicate and work very well together, and we've been able to adapt to things on the fly. So that would be my best advice to them, and learn to know when to ask for help and actually ask for it.
Great advice. And now, Cornyn, as you mentioned, all of you are relatively new to the organization. You've only been with the chapter for under a couple of years. What made you want to get involved with this project?
For me, because I was one of the honorees 2 years ago in 2017, I just thought it was such a cool award and such a cool thing to be a part of that I joined the committee last year, and so I was at all the meetings and I got to see the whole progression of like what goes into putting it on. And when they came around this year looking for volunteers to co-chair the event, it was somewhat of an easy choice. I knew that Daniela and Chelsea had already agreed to do it, and so I had faith that it wouldn't be too tough working with these two.
That's great. So you were actually someone who was recruited by this project then?
Yeah, I was.
That's awesome. All right, Daniela, how can people find out more information either about your specific event or if they want to host a similar event of their own?
So for more about this event, they can certainly head to our dedicated website, which is scv40under40.com. But certainly following us on any of our Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn pages and Twitter. If they want to find out more of like the mechanics, they could certainly reach out to Cornyn, Chelsea, and I, and we'd be happy to share with them our PMG and just take the time to kind of guide them through on all the challenges and what to expect, anticipated costs, things like that.
Okay, well, I only have one last question for you. And on the national level, we have taken a membership theme of the Wolfpack this year. So every podcast, we end in the same way. We ask all our participants to give us their best Wolfpack howls. But you guys can all do it together, and here I'll give you a countdown. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
It's gonna be just me.
You guys are great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please, if you want more information on the event or how to run one in your own chapter, reach out to Cornyn, Chelsea, or Daniela. I'm sure they'd be happy to share their information. It sounds like a fantastic event. Thanks again for joining us, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thanks for listening, JCI USA. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Howl Time. If your chapter or state's doing a project that you'd like to see highlighted on a future episode, please be sure to reach out to me. I can be reached by email at enock, that's ENOCK, at jciusa.org. Until next week, JCI USA, I'll howl at you later.